Welcome, everyone, to the Dr. Abs Healthcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bryan Abasolo, a.k.a. Dr. Abs. And on today's show, we have Eileen Durfee, who is a former nuclear power plant engineer who became sick due to chemical exposure. She suffered from chronic pain, allergies, Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, and lack of energy. These symptoms were the result of her body not eliminating the toxins to which she was regularly exposed. She tried a variety of medications, diets, therapies, and more to help recover her health. On a quest to heal her body, she engineered solutions with her vast knowledge and experience to help others. Her journey to overcome her own health issues led her to become an inventor and businesswoman. She founded her own health company, Creatrix Solutions LLC, to create and distribute natural healing products worldwide. Through online web stores, she offers a variety of health solutions, including spinal fitness equipment, near-infrared saunas, air purifiers, ozone generators, and healing food salts, as well as provides consultation as a practitioner in nutritional balancing science. Eileen has an understanding of toxic home and work environments and knows firsthand what it is like to suffer as a result. Her experience continues to motivate her to create the best possible health solutions to protect family, friends, and consumers from our toxic world. Eileen has been featured on major media outlets, including ABC, NBC, and CBS, to share her knowledge about the spinal fitness revolution. I'm excited to talk to Eileen and everything that she's invented. So let's bring on Eileen Durfee. Welcome to the Healthcast, Eileen. How you doing today?
I'm doing really good. It's nice to see you again.
Yes, absolutely. Eileen was recently in the office demoing some of her amazing equipment. Definitely head over to creatrixsolutions.com. It's an amazing website with a bunch of great inventions that you showed me the other day. So I'd love to talk about that, Eileen. But what I first want to do is actually get the audience a little bit more familiar with your story. You're a former nuclear power plant engineer, and due to having that occupation, you actually became sick due to chemical exposure, and you suffered from all types of illnesses and ailments. So I kind of just want to, give the audience the backstory of what you went through.
Yeah, well, before that, being ripped out with forceps, having my hips twisted, being in pain, my whole life going in 9 inches in 3 months, being ran over by a car.
Oh, geez.
To working, in an industry at the time where they didn't have fresh air or monitor quality. So you're breathing in all these welding fumes and around chemicals and everything during nuclear power plant construction in the 80s. So I job shopped and traveled all around. And at the time, I started becoming allergic to everything and having all kinds of health issues. I mean, at one time I was covered with psoriasis all over my body. My hair was falling out. It was just a disaster. And then, of course, they put you on medications. And it wasn't until I was in Kansas that a doctor said, "Oh, you have candida." So then for years, I thought the whole leaky gut was the cause of all my ills. And at one point, I ate paleo before paleo existed, in the 80s. And
oh, wow.
Just
you're ahead of your time.
Well, to survive. So my lungs didn't close up. So I didn't have hives all over my bodies, but it was a challenge. And so I just became the gizmo woman and trying everything, being my own guinea pig to try to get well. And it wasn't until about 2011 that I realized that it was the toxins. And now we know genetically some people don't eliminate toxins as well as others. And, the movie years ago that was made about the guy in the bubble with John Travolta, that's actually one of my relatives in real life. So I didn't get the greatest gene pool. So, today with all the toxins that we're exposed to, it's not just occupational work exposure now. It's like inside your home. The EPA says it's 3 to 5 times more toxic. The food is depleted of nutrients because we're not getting things in the soil. Just the air pollution, we're just getting it from all angles. So everyone needs to kind of detoxify. But I started regaining my health after I looked at that approach. And it's like, okay, can I give my body what it needs? And then I found that there was no silver bullet, but I did heal myself of allergies. I don't have to carry an EpiPen anymore.
How did you do that? Like what, I guess like once you noticed that all these things were wrong with you, maybe that doctor pointed out the candida. Like, did you just go on a quest to just gather as much information as possible and then transition into the inventing space? Like what was that like turning point for you?
The turning point, because for 3 years, I didn't eat gluten. I never ate more than 80 to 100 carbs a day. I never ate anything out of a box or a can. Everything was fresh. And I didn't eat the same food within the same family for 72 hours because I would become allergic to it. So I did that for 3 years, and it was like a ball and chain, because anytime you ate, fruit or, lactose and dairy, it would just feed the candida and you were right back where you went from. So I was at a loss. And so I started doing the Bernard Jensen, the high colonic, 5-gallon things with the enzymes. And I was just trying everything. And when I came across hair analysis, I just thought it was one more thing that I was going to try. And it was amazing, because some of the things, I just switched from using drugs to chase symptoms to using vitamins and natural herbs and things to chase symptoms. And some of the solutions that, was alleviating my constipation and getting rid of my anxiety and helping me sleep were causing my thyroid to be more underactive than it was, and to actually put calcium in all the wrong places. So I started developing joint pain because, it always took more to get the same effect.
Yeah.
And after hair analysis, they're going, oh, well, you need to stop all that. You're causing this issue. And so then it was kind of like a weaning off process, because, you're reliant on all of that.
Yeah.
And at that time, then they introduced me to protocols. They said, well, when we fix the reason why your body was toxic or why it had to use a junkyard part to survive, your body's going to give up these toxins. And then you're going to have Hexheimer reactions, and you're going to feel kind of cruddy. A lot of people who've been on detoxification protocols know that like every imaginable symptom can get worse, and you feel worse before you get better. So they said, let's do all these protocols so we can get that out of your bloodstream fast so you can feel better. And then the gizmos and gadgets they were having me use, I just was thinking, boy, this isn't very easy, or I wish it was like this. And I would go to sleep and I'd have a dream. I mean, I didn't have any brothers. My dad's a machine and welding guy. He's invented stuff. I have a lot of inventors in my family line. Yeah. And so my brain just thinks like that. So I would just wake up and see the better gizmo. And then I didn't have any brothers. I mean, I know how to do finished carpentry, tile work, drive a backhoe, wire an electrical service. I mean, I can do anything. And so then I just build my prototypes and try them. And, sometimes it's not quite as bad as making the light bulb, but I started creating things that were easier to use, because after all, it's like, how many gizmos do I have in my garage that I don't even use? I bought because it was like a great idea. So I really wanted to save people time and to be able to impact their lives with things that they would use, really, that worked, because I was tired of trying so many things that didn't work. So, after the nuclear power plant industry, because after they were either mothballed or built, I didn't want to be in radiation. So I went into real estate, land development, building houses, running construction crews. Yeah. Then I started managing nonprofit corporations for the homeowner associations, doing all their finances and board meetings and owner packets and all that. And I just had been doing the hobby of all my health stuff on the side. And so in 2010, I started a website and I had a storefront where I began my health journey. And so I even got into esoteric machines like Rife machines and multiple wave oscillators, just Bob Beck machines, Hulda Clark zappers. I mean, just all kinds of gizmos to help change the energy in the body. And then I realized, oh my gosh, it's like refusing to change your alternator in your car and carrying jumper cables around all day. You know, it's like you're jump starting it because of mineral ratios, and we're electric. And so the minerals are super important for the body, but also the aspect, because it boils down to this energy production at the cell level. Most everyone these days are living on coffee. They don't have natural energy, so they're getting artificial energy. But the real problem is at the cell level. And so I started focusing on what is going to help my energy production at the cell level. So there's near infrared light. That's like a miracle for the cell to, you know, just absorb this warm heat and sweat in a sauna, but to cause the mitochondria to produce more ATP. I mean, that makes you feel good, makes you detoxify. You know, drinking ozonated water, flooding the body with oxygen, you know, minimizing your exposure. Like we're breathing all the time. So I invented some things to clean the air and fill it with oxygen. You know, there's just so many things that impact this. Back in the day, I mean, I was like going through my whole house trying to make a healthy home. So then you couldn't go to the grocery store and buy like a natural brand of soap or, you know, cleaner or anything like that. So I was making all my own. And, you know, so people need to look at stopping their, you know, chemical exposure. Like skincare, for instance. The reason why we have a skincare line is because the average woman, I've read studies between their hair care, makeup, and body products.
So many toxins. Like
over 500 a day. You know, they're allowed to have just a little bit of this, but they've never done a cross study to see, well, if you have a minimum of this, and all, you know,
added
500 chemicals.
So
the bodies are just, people are just sick and tired, but it's because they're, you know, toxic. 80% of people are dehydrated. So that's another thing to look at is hydration. And so, you know, this has been a journey and there's all kinds of things we need to do. I mean, a huge thing is we're indoors all the time. If we would just get outside and watch the sunrise and get our bare feet on the ground and get those positive electrons out of our body, we'd feel better. It would impact our circadian rhythm. But all over this, I mean, with you being a chiropractor, one of the major things that is impacting people's health that, you know, a lot of people don't realize, they might have back pain or poor posture, but does everybody really realize that your brainstem goes through your spinal, you know, column? And that if you don't have the right shape, those nerves going to organs, you know, are being pinched. So they're not getting the signals, even if you gave it the right nutrition. And then all the tight muscles. Oh my gosh, the tight muscles consume so much energy. You know, we're talking about cellular energy. So let's increase cellular energy, but let's get rid of the stuff that's zapping it. We don't want any energy drains. We want to be a fine working machine. And the huge thing is, you know, having the wrong shape, your back being out and having tight muscles.
Having the proper curves. Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely want to get into some of the inventions and things that you preach. I absolutely fascinated by that. But you touched on something earlier that it seemed to unlock a lot about your health that, you know, potentially could help a lot of people out there. And you mentioned the hair analysis.
Yes.
Can you talk about the impact of that and why somebody, you know, should get a hair analysis?
Sure. It's like a test on a motor to figure out how much horsepower and torque it's making. Like grandma can drive her car around in sixth gear and go 5 miles an hour. And then that car is going to have all kinds of carbon built up. It's not going to get very good gas mileage. Your teenager can jump in the car and go 100 miles in first gear, and that doesn't get very good gas mileage either. So like a race car pit crew will throw an automobile on a dyno, and they'll measure the rate that fuel is metered in and combusted and how much air. And that's where it gets that sweet spot where the motor really purrs and you can milk as much horsepower out and win the race, without blowing the motor up or getting a bunch of carbon buildup. And when we eat food, our digestion is compromised where we are not burning it efficiently enough. And so when we don't have that cellular energy, different processes can't work. It's like having a brand new car at a gas station with the power off, so you can't pump the gas in the car. So there's these ratios that represent homeostatic balances in the body that we can pick up on a hair analysis. It's kind of like a farmer doing a soil test to figure out how much fertilizer to put on the ground.
Gotcha.
Typically, the farmer doesn't put nitrogen on the soil to raise nitrogen in the plant. Nitrogen raises calcium bioavailability in the plant tissues. But the wellness revolution has kind of thrown the baby out with the bathwater because they're saying take zinc because zinc is good to take. Yeah, we need zinc, but on the table of elements charts, certain minerals will increase or lower items. Like
cofactors,
zinc,
right? Copper.
Yeah. So zinc lowers sodium and raises potassium. So let's say a person already has like exhausted adrenal glands and their electrolyte sodium levels are really low. You could actually, by giving that person zinc, because you kind of gotta assess the whole thing. You want to maybe give zinc as a cofactor, but not like take a 20 milligram tablet in your vitamin arsenal, because that'll lower the sodium potassium ratio and they'll become really prone to infections. That's just one example.
So basically, so you'll see like deficiencies and you'll know exactly, how to adapt to it after the hair analysis.
Well, the hair analysis is a snapshot in time. Like, a half an inch of hair growth equals like a month of time.
Wow,
so
okay.
It'll show what was circulating in your bloodstream at the time. So it's like the layers of an onion. Like you could get a hair analysis that shows no toxins whatsoever. And the person's going, oh, I'm not toxic. That's not true. It's actually in your organs and in your tissues, making you a jalopy. That's why you got all these problems. And your body's a pore eliminator. And so it's not showing up in the hair. So we know, because they did a simultaneous test for 10 years doing blood, hair, and urine, that we can know that if it's under a certain amount, you're what we call a pore eliminator, and that we expect your body to begin to be a better eliminator later. So it really doesn't show deficiencies, but it shows us ratios and levels. So basically, if your grandma driving the car in sixth gear, going 5 miles an hour, we're going to get you driving in third gear, going 40 miles an hour. We're going to speed up your metabolism, with antagonists and synergists. Or if you're too fast, we're going to slow you down. Like somebody who's really fast, you'll see them. They'll be the type A personality. They'll be prone to diarrhea. They'll be sweating very easily. The sweat will be coming off of them. That person has to avoid carbohydrate like the plague. They need mainly fat and some protein, because the fat will slow down their metabolism. They do really well on a keto diet. Fast oxidizers do super good on a keto.
Gotcha.
And then if you look at somebody who's got underactive thyroid and adrenal, dry skin, hair, constipation, anxiety, those kinds of things, lack of energy, we want to speed them up. So they need more protein in their diet.
Got it.
And there's just so many people now that I'm 60 years old and I'm really focusing on weight-bearing exercise and all of that. One thing that I've realized is that most people do not eat enough protein. But the hair analysis will kind of give you guidelines as far as, eat less fat, more protein, or, more fat, less carbs, those kinds of things. But then when you take all that stuff and your body starts getting more horsepower and torque, so to speak, in that good zone, then the body says, we won the lottery. We don't need this lead anymore. Or we don't need this cadmium. Or like if it's a bunch of aluminum or manganese or toxic iron, it dumps. And then even though somebody might be slow and we're trying to speed them up, if they dumped a lot of aluminum and iron, it could temporarily speed them up. So that's where we have to recheck, do a hair analysis, because then we got to slow them back down. It's all about that sweet spot of energy production. So it removes the reasons why your body had to use toxic junk to survive, because that's the thing that the wellness revolution doesn't realize. There's a lot of detoxification, a lot of chelation, but what about fixing the reason why your body can't use zinc and it's grabbing cadmium instead? So this approaches that and is more gentle in its, helping you rebuild your cells, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So just transitioning over to a couple of the inventions. I mean, obviously you showed me the rollers that, you place under your neck, under your back, that obviously are going to help shape those curves. So let's talk about that, restoring the curve, because me being a chiropractor, that obviously is a big time interest for me. How you talk about in your work, how to eliminate back pain by strengthening the two forgotten muscles. What muscles are those?
The multifidus and the interspinalis muscles. When you have an S-shaped curve, then you're going to have more range of motion, less pain. And one of the things that people really don't realize is that they need that S-shaped curve. When you don't have an S-shaped curve, it strains the multifidus and the interspinalis. It even strains the disc in between the vertebrae. So the discs in between the vertebrae actually act like a ligament. And ligaments are not like muscles. They don't stretch very much. They go to the point of tension and tearing, herniating, dislocating, all those kinds of things. So whenever you don't have the right curvature, gravity, like forward head posture, tightens the muscles. So a good way to see if you've got the S-shaped curve or not is, do you have any tight muscles? Because we can never change the attachment points of our muscles on the bones. So a lot of people are into stretching, which is good, but it's kind of like having a nail in your tire and just carrying around a compressed air can, and pumping up your tire. It's like, let's get at the root. The root of tight muscles and back pain is you don't have the right shape. And one of the things that I read in a study about the neck curve, like C6, C7, because of the weight of the head, that lordotic curve is absolutely necessary, because when we're growing up, when we get about 20 years old, our body stops supplying blood to our spinal discs because we're supposed to have the S-shaped curve by then. But because we don't have the S-shaped curve, what happens is we have more compression. We're more bone on bone. So that disc can't float. See, normally with the curve, then there's this pumping action to be able to get in nutrients and take out metabolic wastes. So besides the tight muscles that you have from forward head posture, working at your desk, looking at your phone, those tight muscles are telling you, oh my gosh, that's pain, but it's the wrong shape, but it's also causing degeneration in your spinal discs.
Yeah.
And because they're not getting the nutrients. And so there's a big education that we have to give people as you need the curves. I mean, I searched on Google about the S-shaped curved spine, and I found 2 references, that is it. Mayo Clinic says, yes, you need that S-shaped curve. And some other chiropractor says you need an S-shaped curve, but nobody else talks about it. Nobody else gives you, this is what you can do to get this wonderful S-shaped curve. And so
No, I'm sorry. So you basically have the solution to establish that S-shaped curve, because it's interesting to me because I use you mentioned the hydration of the discs and, having that pumping action. The machine that I use here at the office, the RX 9000, actually helps mimic that pumping action to, get the disc hydrated and heal it. But talk to me about the neck shaper, the rolls that you have in the back there. I see all different colors. Yes, there you go. The neck shaper. I use it myself. Talk to me about, how those work, like just for the audience, who may, who may be looking to alleviate their neck and back pain.
So with exercise, we talk about absolute tension on a muscle because we have repetitions, we have the amount of weight. But to really exercise a muscle, you need absolute tension. So because of the multivus in the interspinalis muscles are short postural muscles, when they fatigue, your body takes over with the long muscles that are meant for launching and locomotion, movement, running, jumping, hitting, that kind of thing. And so we have to put our spine in absolute tension, but it's going to take having some force in strategic locations on top of your body. And it's like a lever with the teeter-totter, the middle part, the fulcrum that the teeter-totter's on. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to put different portions of your spine in absolute tension, but we're going to have this fulcrum point is like that center, that teeter-totter. We're going to put it over a little bit, and then we're going to put weight on that. So then you're going to be contracting and using muscles, which is going to induce curvature. And so with the neck, it's like a faceplate, and it's a simple motion because this neck flexion, it's like if you nod at somebody, I'm agreeing with you, that's actually C5 in your spine.
Yeah.
So this exercise is just nodding, but putting some pressure on it. And so it's super simple. It's usually done standing up or laying down with actually more weight with the support underneath. Because if we can get to the point, everybody has their own starting point, they can do this standing, even with their fingertips at first. But to progress with the absolute tension with the weight, it shears bones back more and it builds those muscles that we need. And so, some people can't even look up without pain. So it's however far you can look up, is where you start. So if that's just like this, that's all it is. And you just put a little pressure right here. And then it's just, remember, nodding, just chin down level. It's not pushing forward, it's just nodding. And then when you're relaxed, like, especially if you're standing up, if somebody say, stand up, and you feel their muscles in their back, their low back, they're normally tight. And if you do the neck flexion with them and then relax and push back, then your head goes over your pelvis where it's supposed to be. Then those long muscles in your back, they just relax.
Got it.
But, so neck shaper is just pressure, chin to butt level, then you relax and you push back. And you just kind of repeat that. I mean, it's like, when it says get up and move, I have my neck shaper at my desk.
Yeah.
I do like 5 or 6 of those.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, what would be like the prescription for somebody who, is having that trap tension, the headaches, the neck pain, they have the military neck, the straight curve, or lack thereof, to reestablish that curve. Like how many sets, reps, how many times a day, how often should you do that?
Initially try 5 reps.
Okay.
As long as there's no pain.
Gotcha. Okay.
Some people can't start with even the neck shaper. They have to start with like small little rolls. We have 5 different diameters because like the military neck, You're not going to be able to put a very big cushion in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we go from 2 3/4 to 3 3/4. And we have, the groove to let the spinous flow.
Yeah, see that? It's pretty cool. The groove for the spinous process to sit there. That's great.
And then the low back has a bigger groove. But what's so neat is, remember I said we can't change muscle attachments to bone. So we have these tight muscles. So let's get rid of gravity. Let's lay down, put one under your neck, put one just in the small of your low back. Lay down flat and you get the right size so you're comfortable. We've got a soft, a medium, and a hard density. And you do this back twist because we talked about the discs not floating, not having the nutrients, not being hydrated. Yeah. So we do this back twist that causes our disc to go from like a sponge to a gel. Then we lay down, and then gravity loosens up our tight muscles. And these are like a train on a train track. It guides our vertebrae in a better location. So you literally hear your bones crack when you just lay down. And so for somebody who's got all this pain, everything like that, laying over the right set of rolls is phenomenal. I had a little boy, his dad came in, he was 12 years old, and he had a trampoline accident. He'd been to chiropractors, physical therapy, the whole 9 yards, and he was having seizures. So we sized him to the rolls, and I told him the back twist. A month later, his dad comes back and says he's never had a seizure since. He takes those rolls with him everywhere. He uses them every day.
Wow.
So it's like when your nerves get pinched, all kinds of problems can happen. And then you progressively increase the diameter and the density while doing like exercises like the neck shaper, the neck flexion. Mm-hmm. Then we have a pelvic tilt and a sit-up that restores the curvature because we're putting absolute tension on the body in a safe position.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted
position it actually wants to be in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's craving that position. Yeah.
Because we have a problem with posterior shear. Like with the regular sit-up, you're going back to that C-shaped curve.
Yeah.
And when you're in that C-shaped curve, the facet bones are not on top of each other. So very easily they could twist, or because of the shear forces, it could herniate. Yeah. So we've got a cushion that has a, groove in it as well, that puts the body as if it already had good posture. And then when you're doing that and you're putting force over here, like the leverage, then it's developing those muscles. The sit up over the power cushion develops external obliques. And then we have a pelvic tilt that develops the abdominal rectus muscles. But it actually, I can take somebody and say, stand up. We can feel their hamstrings. We can have them bend over. We can have them raise their arms, turn their neck, and then we can have them do these exercises. And 10 minutes later, they'll gain inches of flexibility. It's because the bones are in a better place and shape. So those muscles don't need to be activated to protect you.
Yeah.
And those tight muscles are like consuming. You wonder why you're fatigued if you have any tight muscles. Oh, that's a lot of energy expenditure.
Yeah, no doubt. So real quick, I actually want to get into some skincare talk, because I know there's a lot of women in the audience that would love to hear about this. All natural skincare, by the way, guys. But as far as the rolls again, so you have different sizes, you have different, I guess, levels of firmness. So basically the neck one would go at the base of the neck. So more towards the lower end, C5, C6, C7.
Yeah. Just pull it down to your shoulders and make sure your head touches the ground.
Okay. So the neck has to be touching the ground, and then on the
back of the head.
Gotcha. Okay. And then in the lower body, I imagine since it also has the grooves, it would maybe go on that L5 type, region.
Yeah. Like right above your hip bones, your iliacs.
Okay.
Like right above here in the small of the back.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So then obviously your butt and your upper back should be touching the ground as well as your head.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. And then how long would you say people should lay on those cushions?
Well, my sister, on the smallest, softest cushion, she couldn't even lay down 1 minute.
Really?
She had to bend her knees. And then
why is that?
Just such a flat, low back.
Ah, gotcha.
And so she had to bend her knees and then she could lay there for 5 minutes. Well, now she's worked up to 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So the goal is 20 minutes, but that's not where you have to start. If you're experiencing any pain, then that's not the duration.
Right. You got to build up to it little by little. But so where's your sister now in terms of like her symptoms? Like obviously when she had to bend her knees, she could only stay on there for not even a minute. Like obviously I imagine she was in pain or just chronic fatigue. And now where is she at?
Well, she was in a motorcycle wreck years ago. And so she, her pelvis was shattered and she just has a lot of issues, but she's able to stand longer. She's able to sit, without discomfort. So it's really, really helped her. I mean, she gets regular chiropractic care. I mean, I do too, even though I do spinal fitness. I mean, if you x-rayed my body because of regular chiropractic care, I'm not all worn out. Yeah. And it's just so important.
Keeps you young.
It does.
So that's great. And just mention the website again, just so people, if you're interested in spinal fitness, definitely go to this website. Go ahead, Eileen.
It's Creatrix Solutions. You can also just type in spinal fitness and it redirects to the main website.
Amazing. Yeah, I use that. I love it. I use those in my practice. The neck shaper that you showed earlier, I use that as well. You got to maintain those curves, people. It's very, very important towards your spinal health, your energy levels, as you heard. But now I want to get into a little bit of the skincare, the nourishing natural skincare that you guys produce. Talk to me about, I know about the fat soluble tallow ingredient in your products. Just talk about, some of the benefits, the ingredients that are in your products, as opposed to, what people use, that are, really chemical rich, like why we want to avoid those.
Whatever you put on your skin gets in your bloodstream in 30 seconds. And also it's interesting, there's a lot of transdermal medications or creams that are given to people, like, for example, transdermal glutathione. It has an 80% absorption rate, but if you pop a glutathione pill, you're getting 10%? It just doesn't have the absorption. So our skin is a wonderful place to add nutrition, not just to maintain our skin. So I wanted to create a product line that nourished us with vitamins and minerals, yet did the job of taking care of our skin's smoothness, hydration, anti-aging, all those good things. We originally started with deodorant because I don't know if anybody's been out there trying to get deodorant and antiperspirants that doesn't have aluminum. It's like, which ones work? I mean, it's just like you end up stinking, especially my daughter, because she's had, my grandkids every 2 years and been nursing. And so with her, it was really difficult to find a deodorant that worked. And so we started with tallow. And the other thing is some people are sensitive to baking soda. So we have a little tiny bit of baking soda in the formulation, but it's to a minimum. So we finally came up, it was like making the light bulb with essential oils. And then some people don't want too many essential oils because of allergies, so we came up with deodorants and we put them in glass jars because a lot of our customers are going like, we don't want plastic. We want, natural, non-toxic packaging. And so we actually, like the 5-star reviews, it actually really works. And there's 2 formulations. There's one that has tea tree oil and then a high altitude lavender, and they're organic, but they kind of cancel each other out. So they don't really smell like lavender and they don't really smell like tea tree.
Okay. And tea tree is definitely very strong.
Yeah. And then the other lemon lime has different citrus in it. And actually, like lemon myrtle has higher antibacterial values than like tea tree oil and oregano oil. Yet it smells good. And so it works. So like my daughter, that's her favorite one because it's actually stronger as far as odor, because it allows you to sweat. That's the thing with women is with our breast health and everything, we don't want to clog up our sweat glands. We actually want to sweat. We just don't want to smell.
Yes, I think that's everybody's issue. That's what they don't want.
And so then we moved to some balms where we use like the grass range fed, tallow. And then we added some organic olive oil to it with some different essential oils. And the balms would wouldn't absorb super fast and could stay on the surface of the skin to deal with, a variety of different skin conditions, everything from rosacea to, psoriasis to just, injuries or cracks or things like that. And then people loved it and they go, but it's just really hard to spread. I want to put it all over my body, So then I came up with the lotions. And one of my research project was using low polyunsaturated fatty acids. So we know from studies now, because everybody was like, animal fats are bad, let's use all these seed oils.
Yeah.
So now there's studies that show that the seed oils have caused the rise in cardiovascular disease.
Oh
so
my
now,
God.
So now
seed oils are the devil. The worst.
So we want to get away from that. So on all the formulations, they have different purposes, the ingredients in them, either healing properties or anti-aging properties. But I all took into account the transdermal absorption, we have low PUFA ratings. They say online, people educating on this seed oil problem of how you don't want to put anything on your body if it has a PUFA rating of 10 or higher. So all of ours are way below that. And we put the PUFA rating on the jar. And it's interesting because you will smell some of these lotions that we make. And it just it almost has a narcotic effect on you. It just makes you feel so good. It's like you just want it. You can't get enough of it,
Yeah.
And a lot of that smell is not from the essential oils we add, but from just the healing properties of the different oils that we put in the product.
Wow.
For instance, my grandson, we came up with the healing lotion first, because my grandson, later on, we found out he was allergic to eggs, nut, and dairy, which is almost everything. But he was from head to toe, rashes, and he would scratch till he bled and nothing would clear it up. So I went on the hunt to find healing ingredients to help him to not itch, to not be in pain. And so we developed the natural healing lotion. And it's got, of course, the grass range fed rendered cow kidney tallow, but it's got castor, all organic, or castor oil, tamanu oil, wild harvested babasu oil, organic virgin red palm oil. And then it's got some different extracts like the asparagus extract, panthenol. We use a radish root as a preservative. I mean, let's get natural and non-toxic all the way.
Absolutely.
And then we're using all these different healing essential oils as well. But it cleared up his skin, the poor little guy. And so then it's of course, with me being 60 and, many years of acne and issues, it's
You're 60? You look great.
Yeah.
The stuff works, people.
Well, actually, look at my videos from 10 years ago and then look at me now. And actually, I look like 10 years younger than I did.
Really? And that's just all from using the products?
Yes. I mean, I eat a pretty clean diet, but I do my saunas, I do my coffee enemas, I drink. It's not a silver bullet here, but it helps. It's like, having this lifestyle where you're nourishing your body and protecting it from toxins makes a difference.
From the outside and the inside as well.
Yeah. And so then I have the Dead Sea mineral toners because I was spending like on a little tiny bottle, the Origins brand, toners. And so then I started doing research into the ingredients they use and then other ingredients. So I actually found better stuff, and I'm able to sell a big bottle, that's like 8 times as large as their little thing for about the same price. And it just really works. I have a body toner for the whole body. Then you can put the lotions on. Then I have the anti-aging facial toner called the Revive. And then I've got the anti-aging, facial lotion. But, I was on ABC, CBS, and NBC, and you have to go to the makeup room, and they do your makeup before TV. And, so I just washed my face and I put my tallow on my face. And I went in there and the lady's going, "What do you have on your skin?" "Oh my gosh," she said, "I spend 90% of my time just moisturizing the skin before I put the makeup, and I don't even have to touch your skin. It's perfect."
Like you are makeup ready. Oh, that's amazing.
And then it lasts all day, so it's just really amazing stuff. But that cow kidney fat, it's got fat soluble ADE, CLAs, it's antibacterial, got anti-cancer properties. It's like if you ever been cooking and got butter on your skin, how it just kind of disappears.
Yeah.
Your body loves this stuff. It just soaks it up. And the reason why we started making our own is because I was buying other tallow lotions because I was learning about the ancestral value of the animal fats and what it did for the body. But you smelt like you just cooked a hamburger. Yeah, moisturize my skin. So we came up with a new way to render the fat so it doesn't have that animal odor. And so it's just like, you can't tell that it has that in it. And it's just like a super whipped, like somebody left a review saying it's like whipped icing. It's just so fluffy and it spreads and absorbs so nice. And your skin's not greasy.
So it's not greasy.
No.
That's amazing. That's
even
amazing.
Though it's like full of oils.
Full of oils.
It's because of the transdermal absorption factor in the formulation that we did.
Amazing.
Like I said, it was like making the light bulb, but
amazing.